All right, we are live. Welcome back to the Let's Do Video live stream, and happy to be back here with Tim. Tim, great to see you as always.
Likewise, David. Yeah. How are things?
Good, good. I'm sorry I missed last week because I was at the CEDIA conference, Commercial Integrator Expo, which we'll be talking about. This is going to be a fun show. We have a lot of things to talk about. Let's dive right into the first story, which is Microsoft actually kind of making a concession. It was they saw the way the wind was blowing, but they weren't actually forced to do this. But they've unbundled in Europe Teams from Office and everything else. So if you don't want to use Teams for your video and for your chat, but you still want to use Excel and Office and Outlook and everything else, you don't have to feel compelled we have Teams, we might as well just use Teams.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because Teams was added to Office 365. Oh, I think it's 2017 for free, replacing Skype for Business. I guess it sort of grew in popularity due to its video conferencing. They've been going from strength to strength in terms of adoption, and PSTN numbers are through the roof as well. So they really are, up there market leading. But what
it helps that it's a good product. We got to give them credit. We're gonna bash them a little bit for sneaking it in with the bundle and kind of forcing people to get it. But if it wasn't a good product, it wouldn't have worked. It is good.
Well, so I think Microsoft were addressing two concerns that the EU raised, or the EU Commissioner raised, and that was that people should be able to choose a business suite without Teams at a price less than those where Teams was included. And there was also another one around making interoperability easier between rival UC solutions, unified communication.
By the way, hi to David Danto. We have David Danto in the chat, so good to see you.
Oh, hi, David. Nice to see you. So they wanted to make interoperability more favorable and easier between other solutions and Microsoft 365 and Office suites.
That's the second part of the announcement that I think a lot of people might miss, because you see the headline and see, oh, I don't have to buy, well, if I'm in Europe, I don't have to buy Teams if I don't want to. I can use WebEx or Zoom or whatever I want for my video. But the other part of it is, one of the things that makes Teams so good is Excel is right in. I'm a big Excel fan. Excel is right in there. Word. Okay, I'm not a big Word fan, but I use Word. It's right in there. And there's some sorts of plugins and interactions with everything, but not the same. And they're going to be a little bit easier to work with. So if you're not using Teams, if you're using, well, I don't want to name names, so I'm not sure which ones they're going to partner with, but another platform for your chat, yes, your Excel will be in there, theoretically. So I think that's pretty big.
Yeah, we've seen some interoperability there with hardware vendors. For example, Cisco manufacturing Microsoft Teams Room systems and making them interoperable both with WebEx and with Teams. David, shout out to Poly, who provide interoperability across most platforms, if not every platform. So we are seeing, hopefully, the EU in the same way that they opened up the same with Microsoft Internet Explorer. Do you remember when that was bundled?
Yes.
And the EU jumped on that and said, that's not very, that's anti.
It's not fair.
Competitive.
It's just, it's not fair. And I think that's the same kind of feeling is okay, Teams is doing well on its merit, but it's just not fair if everyone has it for free or feels like they have it for free. Obviously, the cost they bundled into it, you were paying for it, but didn't feel like you were paying for it. It's just not fair. You have to give me an option to not get it. And it's only like $2 per account cheaper. I mean, I could add up if you have, thousands and thousands of workers.
Well, this is the interesting bit, and it's euros, of course, because it's European Commission. But so what you can do is you can switch to a version of Office that excludes Teams. So that's going to be €2 per month cheaper than it is with Teams. And if you're a new enterprise customer, you can buy standalone and separately for €5 per month. So, I don't know if the EU is going to turn around and say, well, that's still anti-competitive because it's so cheap. I don't know, but they're being proactive. They realize that this is going to be an issue. The EU have jumped on it. So we'll see what happens and whether or not this will go ahead at Microsoft being proactive, whether or not the EU will agree to it. But it's interesting,
I think it works. I think it's more of a feelings thing than a money thing. I mean, obviously, if I'm the CTO of a billion-dollar business and I have hundreds of millions of dollars that I'm responsible for, everything's a money thing. But I don't think it's so much that, oh, we can save €2 per month and then we can go get Zoom if we like Zoom better. It's the feeling of, I don't like feeling like I'm paying for Zoom and Teams. And if this changes it so that now I feel like, okay, now I'm using Zoom and I'm using Microsoft for everything else, or whatever I choose, I don't feel like I'm paying for both. So I think it makes it feel more fair.
We shall see.
Oh, and by the way, I don't shoot. I should have brought the a copy of the article because I skimmed it and I didn't read it closely enough, and I don't want to misquote or misrepresent. But I think Eric at Zoom himself has come out and made a statement saying, yeah, could we talk about why isn't this way in the U.S. as well? Obviously, if it's not fair in Europe, it's not fair in the U.S. either, if you think about it. I'm assuming that's what he said, but you'll have to read the article. But it does bring a point. And if I was Zoom, well, if I was WebEx, I think I'd be quiet because they're having a nice partnership now and everything's getting along. But if I was Zoom or another competitor, I'd be saying, yeah, look at that European argument and let's apply it over here in the States.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting. What we can do, David, of course, is we'll link to any relevant articles in the recording.
Yeah, and the advantage of having as my co-host an industry analyst is you created this great graphic to bring this like kind of into context here. And I took some time studying this. This is very cool. What we have is based on the business purpose, the tools that you use with your team when you're communicating asynchronously, when you're just working on the project throughout the day, and when you bump it up to synchronous, and clearly synchronous meetings is all about video. That's my world, so that's great. But this is when you're watching the playthrough, you might want to pause here and really take a look at this, because I was taking a. Let me zoom in for a second.
Shall I talk us through it, David? So
sure.
Up on the, oh my word, here we go. Sorry. If you look at your screen on the left, we got the business purpose. So there's various reasons why we want to collaborate and communicate. And that could be decision-making, it could be status updates, it could be brainstorming, it could be corporate communications and company-wide announcements. Now, my argument is that a lot of unified communications and collaboration vendors concentrate completely on interactive meetings, voice and video. And what we're seeing is, lots and lots of development, like Maybelline filters for Microsoft Teams, and I hate that one. It's my pet hate. I'm becoming quite notorious for it, and the avatars and things like that. But we seem to be focusing or over-rotating, I think, on meetings functionality. Where we seem to be missing the point is that when you're working across a large operation that might be distributed and hybrid, that there are needs for other things. So if I'm working on my phone and I'm a frontline worker, and I'm looking to make a decision, is it the best use of my time to, pull off the road and sit on a meeting when perhaps I could use a voting app or a collaboration app like Notion or indeed Microsoft Loop? If I'm doing a brainstorming or ideation session, do I actually need to be in a meeting at all? Do I need to be in an office? And maybe an office magnet could be, we all get the team together, we have a really great team meeting, we do some ideation on a digital whiteboard, we capture it, and we're done. But there's various different business purposes and different tools to fit. And this is one of the reasons why when we've had our survey come back, our IT Enterprise Insight survey here at Omdia that we run, and that goes out to many thousands of enterprises, only 11% of enterprises have a single unified communications and collaboration platform. And that is largely because...
David Danto just said in the chat, chat's this way, are there any large enterprises that aren't using all three, meaning Teams, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and WebEx almost every week? So the answer to David's question is only 11%. And only even 11%. Those 11%, I don't know if I believe them because they have to talk to outside people. So even those 11%, they're still using all three.
Yeah. So we said collaboration, the consolidation of their platform, not everyone else's. So you're right. Inevitably you can say, great, we've got one solution. And then all of a sudden a customer says, oh, I'm on WebEx or Zoom or Teams or RingCentral or someone else, and you have to go outside of your platform and use someone else's. But it's interesting. And the main reason is there's no one platform that wins them all, and that's weird because every vendor is saying it's my platform, it's my platform. It shouldn't be a zero-sum game. There are some platforms that excel in those different business purposes. There are others that don't. If we were to add another element in there in terms of contact center, Microsoft Teams hasn't got a contact center SKU. It's got a offering where you can cobble together using Azure different contact center components. One might argue that Microsoft isn't particularly well known for their live events platform, whereas Zoom might be. There's all sorts of different. You could argue that maybe Cisco WebEx is better in terms of the user experience and easier to use. So there's different business reasons, different business purposes, and I think with vendors talking about platform wars, I don't think that that's the best way to win the battle, because there are multiple platforms, multiple use cases, and multiple needs. And so interoperability across all of them is great, and that's the reason why hopefully Microsoft heed the EU and start looking at interoperability.
Yeah, and no one's able to say we have our platform as the best video, the best chat, the best events, the best contact center, the best email, the best calendar. And if one could, that would be amazing. But no company can do that. And the way Microsoft has been winning has been saying, well, we're bundled in everything else, obviously. And we do have the best spreadsheet. We have arguably one of the two best emails, calendar, good word processor, chat, good. Microsoft Teams chat, it's not okay. It's some might argue it's among the best. It's really strong, stronger than we expect it to be. The videos, yeah, a lot of people still say Zoom's still a few months ahead, but it's not years ahead anymore. No one's saying Microsoft Video is just bad. It's not bad. It's good. So Microsoft is going to be able to say we're the best at the things that matter, and everything else we're doing good, like good. So I think that's the platform play is good enough at everything.
You're right, and of course the next part of the platform is AI. That's the next sort of line in the sand, isn't it?
What a great
that's
lead
quite
in.
an interesting area.
Lead into our next story, but I want one final thought on this. Looking at this, just one takeaway is I don't think we're using these tools enough. These tools are amazing. These tools are powerful. They're cool. They're modern. They have workflows. They have great UIs. They're fun, and we're still a little afraid of them. We sometimes spend weeks getting set up on them, and no one in the team uses them, and then we get mad at them. But they're powerful and they're amazing, and they tie into these. If you go into Zoom, there's an apps button. There's like hundreds of apps. Salesforce is in Zoom. So we're not doing that. We're not connecting the two. And as much as I love this, we're just using this for everything. We're using for all the decision, all the purposes on that side of the screen. We're just using video for all of it, or still a video. And these tools, there's so much potential there.
Yeah. And what I want is AI to turn around and say the best tool for this form of communication is this. Or,
yes,
you've got 15 people have declined your meeting invite. Why don't you just set up a polling or a voting sort of app?
Help us figure out which mode.
Yeah.
So going into AI, big AI story. Zoom's AI companion is coming out. I looked in my Zoom to see if the button is there yet. It's not there yet, but I feel like it's going to be there any day from the way I read these announcements. And it's free. That was unexpected. And this answers a bunch of questions. We had Zoom Perspectives in early August, which is our analyst event, and one big question we had was how are they going to compete with Microsoft? Microsoft charges for their AI, and AI is all anyone's talking about. So is it me, or is this big?
It is big because from trialing some of these AI solutions, there are big productivity benefits here. So we spoke about Teams being bundled in Office for free, and of course nothing is free because it takes time to administer. Everyone knows that free is not an argument. Free does cost.
Tom Arvinod is in the chat. Tom, good to see you.
Hi, Tom.
Sorry.
Good to see you. Lives just down the road from me. We should meet up for a coffee soon, Tom.
Hey.
Yeah. So, it's been
That's cool.
free since 2017, but now Zoom is adding AI for free, which, if it is, the productivity boon that we think it is, and the potential for it to be so is there. This could be a very big one. Yeah, absolutely. Bearing in mind that Zoom is not just meetings. So it's not just about intelligent call summaries, recaps on meetings, but it goes across the whole of the platform.
Yes. They have Zoom email. So we're going to have AI,
Exactly.
free AI, and it'll be good AI. Zoom's a big company now. They have some resources. They can spend a little money on making it good. Yeah, if you're using Zoom email for your emails, you're going to have AI in the email. It's going to be all throughout contact center, everything. Um, and it's the good stuff now. I mean, we've had meeting summary AI for, oh God, 7 years. I mean, years and years now. We've had some of it, but it was clunky. No one was using it. You type /summary and you get something. This is a new chat GPT-ish kind of stuff where it feels like there's an actual person helping you out and who understands the context of what you're doing. It's gonna be amazing. Hey, Tom's up for a coffee, and he says
Fantastic.
it's interesting that Zoom's ready to give it away. Yes, that's a lot of yes, it's a lot. This is a big deal because there's a lot of potential, as Tom said, a lot of potential compute costs they're absorbing in their pricing. So it's not like they just turn on a switch and AI is on. This costs them something to do, not just to develop.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting the way which AI is not all created equal. So there's been a lot of vendors there that are sort of positioned AI as noise reduction and, the ability to do really clever video background blurs and things like that. Well, there's an element towards it. But I think AI is just going to be pervasive. It'll just be a function, and we'll stop talking about Chat GPT and AI pretty quickly because we'll see that it becomes part of the platform and it's a productivity capability. And when it does that, and we know it's ready for mainstream, that's when the fun starts. Clawing back hours in your week to
Yes.
apply to hopefully something meaningful and not just going out for a coffee with Tom, as great as that would be. But it really does purport to offer an awful lot of clawback time in terms of productivity. I'm really excited about it.
I think I think about the productivity benefits as well. I was thinking about, I don't know if I saw this in a social media post or something, but someone was saying, a billionaire has the same 24 hours in a day that you do, and they get all this stuff done, da 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 da. And someone pointed out, no, actually, because a billionaire doesn't have to do this, doesn't have to, and all these things that we have to take time to do. And this is talking about in our daily lives, so getting groceries, that kind of stuff. Billionaires doesn't have to deal with that. They do have more time than us, but a similar argument applies to productivity. If I'm not doing the things that my little assistant, my magical AI assistant, can be doing for me, God, just follow-ups for meetings, set that calendar appointment for me. Those little things that really adds up. I could be doing what I want to do, creating content.
Yeah.
Dave has a good point in the chat. Zoom's going to be free when Google and Microsoft are going to be charging. So clear differentiator, but it's an unproven tech with unproven value. Now, another way to say that is this might be all hype and buzz, but I think even if it is, it's still going to be a win for Zoom because there's so much hype and buzz. They're giving it for free, but I don't think it's going to be hype and buzz. I think we've had a lot of hype and buzz about AI for years because it's so exciting and the idea of it and the potential. I remember one company I'm not going to mention was selling a $200 webcam for $700 because it had potential AI in there. They didn't do anything yet. I mean, it was ridiculous. But anyway, I
And of
think it's
course,
happening now. I think we're there.
yeah, and it's free and it's unproven. And at the moment, we don't know the potential, but Zoom's offering it for free and Microsoft are charging $34 for Copilot, or that's what the announcement said when they looked to make it GA. So it's like, if it's unproven and we don't know what the benefits are, would you rather have a go with Zoom AI, or would you rather pay $34 as a means of trialing it to see if it works? So it's an interesting pricing model, isn't it? Free versus paid for, and of course, nothing is free, but it's a very distinct move in the market that sets Zoom out above the likes of others, I think.
And one of the ways that Zoom, was a winner in the first place was they figured out virality. Their freemium model was this. It's really hard to figure out freemium. You give away too much and no one ever buys anything. You don't give away enough and no one tries it. And they had that beautiful freemium model, and they had that grassroots viral thing, and maybe that's what they're trying to recreate here. Because I think, again, I don't think it's hype. I think people are going to start using this and be like, I need this in my life. I think, the people are going to say, if we switch to Microsoft Teams, we better be paying for that Copilot because I'm used to having AI in my meeting now. So I'm pretty excited. I'm just excited because I'm going to get it for free. I want to start playing with this immediately.
And of course, two vendors don't make a market, so it'll be interesting to see how others sort of compete with this, against this. How are they going to include AI? What are their plans to make us more productive? So yeah, it's a bold move.
Anything else to add on this? David Tanto is saying Microsoft announced they will identify users from lawsuits for IP theft by AI. Oh, okay. So if the AI generates something, it'll make sure that. Yeah, I'm always worried about using images. I put things behind me. Do I have the permission to use this behind me? I need AI to keep me from getting sued.
It's a brave new world, isn't it? We're only just scraping the surface yet. It's very new. It's pioneering times.
Those are things I think about when I search for graphics for my fancy executive penthouse suite boardroom. I was worried that if I don't use a free for use image, I can get sued. And we have to think about these things now. Tom points out that WebEx is very quiet, has been quieter. He said WebEx very quiet and generative unless I've missed anything. Maybe they're saving it for WebEx 1?
Yeah, we've got Zoomtopia coming up. We've got WebEx 1. So those are going to be Microsoft Ignite as well. So we've got some very big vendors in the UC space, RingCentral as well. There's some big industry events that are coming up. I'm sure that they'll make their plans known and what their roadmap are. So yeah, watch this space. We've got our work set out for us, haven't we, David, when we return from some of these.
And speaking of events, I recently, thanks to an invite from David Danto in the chat, spoke at the Commercial Integrator Expo at CEDIA. That's what I look like presenting, by the way. I like presenting. I like speaking. If anyone's looking for a speaker with purple hair, I'm among your limited choices. There were, and I want to mention, because there were two stages set up. The other stage had a big sign on it that said Smart Stage. So that was the Smart Stage. This one that I was speaking at didn't have a sign on it. So make what you will of that. There's the Smart Stage and the stage for David.
Or maybe it was because you were wearing jeans and you should have been wearing, smart pants or something.
I needed a smarter outfit. No, but this was the stage for the Commercial Integrator Expo, and there's a few interesting things here. First of all, I mean, there's several layers of how do I get there. First of all, what is a guy who covers unified communications care about commercial integrators? Commercial integrators, don't they install video screens and sound systems in bars and churches and stuff like that? Yes, but they also, graphic issue there, here we go. They also set up Zoom rooms and MS Teams rooms in enterprises. It's the same companies that send out the same trucks with the same technicians who know how to do that stuff. So commercial integrators is just a bigger part of our world. And when I go to the trade shows, the AV trade shows, I like checking out the commercial integrators. I mean, first of all, I have to check them out because they have Zoom rooms and they have Microsoft Teams rooms. They have that kind of stuff. But they have other stuff, which I think is cool. CEDIA is home technologies, so home sound systems. But there's an overlap because it's the same stuff we're using in the commercial area now. So a marriage or a friendship or a partnership between the Commercial Integrator Expo, which is where I was brought in, and CEDIA makes perfect sense. And that kind of sounds good on paper, but is it true? Yeah, it's true, because I walked around the hall and every booth I went to was a CEDIA vendor saying, so we've been doing residential stuff. They call it Resi. That's the insider term. We've been doing Resi for 50 years, and recently we've been doing commercial as well. This side of the booth is our Resi side of the booth. This side of our booth is our commercial side of the booth. And oh, look, it's a Teams room. We have a video bar. They all have video bars. So it is a complete intermix with what we cover and what we do. And it was a good show. Not as big as Infocom, maybe about the size of Enterprise Connect, a big full room. lots of cool technology. And I enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed speaking. The IMCCA was a big part of working with Commercial Integrator Expo. Thanking everyone for making it happen.
Well, that's interesting because a colleague in our team, Prachi Nima, she's done some research, and when we start looking at devices and video devices in particular, there's been a 20% year-over-year increase in video bars. So I can see why CEDIA are all over this, because there must be an awful lot of remodeling that's taking place as people consider how they make the office a magnet and how they draw people back into the office. And if it's a case of moving towards more activity-based work styles, I can see that video bars, I can see these people getting very excited over the growth in the video bar market. Yeah, interesting.
That's exactly what it was. A lot of these companies, they for the home market, make something that looks really nice, and a lot of them are furniture companies. So it'd be like a credenza that opens up, and the projector comes out, and then the projector shows the Star Wars movie on the home theater, and a speaker bar, and it's all like, whoa, that looks really cool. And yeah, I want that in my meeting room. So we talk about earning my commute. If I'm coming back to the office, I want to be working in a cool meeting room that has a magic credenza that opens up, and so of course they have.
Well, isn't that brilliant? Because you could have that for. You could have that for just a physical meeting. You could have it for a board meeting where you don't need it. When you do need it, it comes up out the floor rather than rather going to a different meeting room. That's great in terms of flexibility. I never thought of that. That's great.
Yeah. A couple comments. David Dent was saying it's similar to the story of ISE, but smaller, and in the U.S. So ISE is massive, and it's too far away for me to travel usually. But residential and commercial together, the overlap, the bleed over. And Tom is saying that video comparison is his top requested research. I am not surprised at all. I need to find this. I wrote an article way back when I saw my first video bar, and I'm like, I hate to make predictions because you look dumb if you're wrong, but I'm predicting this is the form factor of the future. It was like Vadio or somewhat, a smaller company that we don't talk about as much. And I'm like, that makes perfect sense. This is going to be it. I don't know. I remember I might have voted to telepresence options before I even started Let's Do Video. But yeah, it makes so much sense. It looks nice. We're used to the speaker bar look at home. The camera is less intrusive because it's just stuck in the video bar there. It's not a big old eyeball looking at you. All in one. What's not to love about video bars, right?
Yeah.
Another thing about the CEDIA Expo, just a funny story. Some people have way too much money, okay? Because some of the stuff that they were selling in these booths, it's like people have that in their homes. Now, I understand, having a nice projector system if you really like movies and stuff like that. But there was one booth, they had a car elevator. So what you do is they come in, they dig a pit in your garage, and they put this device in it, and you drive your car in, and it lowers the car onto the ground so you still have an empty garage. And the demo car they had, there was like this really expensive looking, like super, like something like James Bond would drive. It was really crazy looking. And I'm like, I got to ask, how much does it cost? And she's like, well, for the base model is $250,000. She said $250. And I said, $1,000. She's like, yeah.
I think it's one of those things where if you have to ask what the price is, you can't afford it.
Exactly. But that's the base model. The base model doesn't have the interactive podium. And by the way, everything ties into a world. It's only a matter of time before that podium has Zoom Room on it. But all the panels and the fancy, I'm like, well, obviously if I'm getting it, I'm not going to get the base model. I need the fancy podium and all the panels and stuff. But they're selling them. They're a new company. They sold over 100 so far. I'm like, I can't believe this.
Wowee.
Yeah. But
now, I have seen in the office, as we're talking about activity-based working, are these automated wall screens. So you can divide a big meeting room into two at a press of a button. You press strong controller or whatever, and all of a sudden the wall comes apart and joins together and then separates or moves about. And I think we're going to see a lot of that going on in these office remodels. A lot more activity-based working, separating out meeting rooms, freestanding spaces, bringing in collaboration boards on wheels that also have the video capability in there, like the Surface Hub or the Jam board or Cisco WebEx board. I think we're going to see an awful lot of change in the office.
I
Whether or not it's going to
love
attract
that.
people in, I don't know, but we shall see.
That's the first I've heard of that, and I'm so glad you brought it because I think a lot of facilities people are saying we don't know what to do with this return to the office. People don't want to. They're not sitting in their offices just to work. They're staying at home for that. They're using meeting rooms for everything, and I don't know if I need big meeting rooms or little meeting rooms or how many of each. And so if they have flexibility, well, it could be, could be a big meeting room in the morning and a little meeting, two little meetings in the afternoon, or we see what people need. I think that would take a lot of stress off.
What's sad about that is Robert Pross from the Miller Company. That was his whole idea around the official, I think it was called the Action Office 2, which then was meant to be these flexible modular ways in which you can move things about and adjust things and put down walls and adjust it through the week. People loved it because it was cheap, and it then became the Office Cube. So Robert Props turned in his grave, and it said it was the worst thing that ever happened to his wonderful solution that was meant to be flexible and modular. It just turned into very cheap cubes. And what we're seeing now is this move back to flexible workspace, which if only Robert Props was alive today, he'd warmly welcome, I'm sure.
See, now I'm worried. I think people are going to buy these flexible workspaces. They're going to use them for a week, and then they're just going to leave it up. We set it up this way, just leave it that way. Oh, I hate it when good technology doesn't get used because people are they're just too busy doing their jobs to worry about how to use the technology, right? They're too busy doing their jobs to worry about, let's redesign the cubicles every day like the designer wanted us to. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Interesting times.
So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should mention about CEDIA. Just that I had a great show, and I'll put a link below when I get it. I think the sessions that I gave and the other analysts who were amazing also gave at the the Not Smart stage will be available, and they were great sessions. I got to do a presentation with Chris Netto. He's awesome. Chris was really fun. Yeah. And it was very fun. He's a funny guy, so it was a very funny session. I'll make sure to get the link for that one below. I'm dragging this on because I don't want to end the week. I'm having a good week, but I think we're done here. Anything else we should say before we head out?
I don't think so. Only watch this space. We've got a number of analysts coming up. The market is extremely dynamic. Lots of things going on. It's going to be a busy last quarter of the year. So look forward to being with you in 2 weeks' time, David.
Yes. David Danto says presentations will be online soon. So when they are, I'll put the link below. And excellent. Yeah, our industry is not boring. It's fun and exciting now, and there's a lot of events and fun things to come. So please, watch this space. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Thanks so much, Tim. And thanks for everyone in chat. This was fun this week. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.